Hi class, Dr. Warren here, and today I'm going to be talking about your big final project that is going to be a reflection on all 4 of the online educator courses where you built your own online course. In this reflection, which begins in week 5, where you start to think about it, you start to write your script, and in week 6, then you do a presentation, and you're talking about the theories that you used and the strategies that you used to design your online course. So again, think about when you were coming in 24 weeks ago and just trying to figure out what kind of topic you were going to teach. And now look at your class and look at how much more you know about building an online course using a professional learning management system, CourseSites. Now, I love theory, and the reason I love theory is not because it's academic and because it's research heavy and it's very complicated. I love theories because they're practical. I love theories because you can use them to do stuff. So these theories were designed by educators, professionals, and they have a lot of experience in teaching online courses, in developing and designing courses, and they started to notice patterns. They noticed that, that if you start with the end in mind, that you have a better course, backward design. Or if you think about a framing or outlining a course to design the learning activities, you could have like a triggering event, something to get them started, an exploration activity where they're learning, an integration activity where they're doing, and a reflection activity where they think back on what did they just do. That's the community of inquiry, cognitive presence. These models and these theories help us as educators really efficiently and practically and successfully build online courses. And that's why I love theory, because it makes me more efficient in what I want to do and what I try to do. That said, I've developed a document called Theories Used by Instructional Designers and Online Educators. I have an updated one. It's not in the classroom yet, but I'm going to send it to you in the announcements. Pardon me. Here it is. And so in this assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to look at these theories. So remember Bloom's taxonomy, where we had those learning outcomes and we wanted to make them rich and meaty by using Bloom's verbs at the apply, the evaluate, the create level. So we created some really beautiful learning outcomes that your learners would create. They would think about, evaluate. So that's the Bloom's taxonomy, where you design those learning outcomes. Backward design, where you broke out that topic of yours and those skills that your learners were going to demonstrate to you at the end of your class. What do those skills look like? What would it look like to create a task around those skills, right? And then you created that final summative assessment that connected those learning outcomes, the things you wanted your learners to demonstrate to you. Those were all built into that final summative assessment, so that you knew when they got that assessment finished that they could do all the things that you wanted them to do, that you taught them in your course. Backward design. Authentic assessment, keeping it real, keeping it meaningful to students, designing assignments that were grounded in the real world. That's a theory. Okay, the rubric, remember the rubric helps to make things clear to students about what the expectations are and clear to teachers about how they're going to grade that assignment, the rubric. Universal design for learning. How do you make your learning and your content fully accessible to students of all skill levels and all developmental levels or with disabilities? How do you make your learning accessible? And then we've got, again, that community of inquiry model, the triggering event, the exploration event. So all that, and then we've also got the teaching presence, the social presence, and how that plays into an online course. Remember that ADDIE model where we're talking about the analysis of your course. In the first course, you thought about, you analyzed who your learners were, you analyzed your subject matter, and you developed your learning outcomes What do I want my learners to be able to do at the end of the course? Then the design, you'd started designing your course. The development, you started building it in course sites. The implementation, that's where in EDU 609, you had a learner come in, look at your course, and you got a feel for what is it going to be like to teach this course, to implement it in the real world with real students. Finally, the evaluation, where you took your data from your learner, you took the data from you, the rubric that you use, the QOCI rubric to analyze your course, took all that data, evaluated it, and decided, here's what I need to do to fix my course to make it even better next time. All these theories go into the development of powerful, robust online courses. And this is what we're asking you to do, is to think about those theories. Okay, so the assignment is, let's go back to the assignment. The assignment is to pick, let's see, I think you're picking 5 theories. Let's see. Creating 10 to 12, video capture, 5 theories, okay? And again, these are updated. This document that I giving you here is updated, a little bit more up to date than these theories. There's one that I took out and another one I added, okay? So you're going to talk about the theories. In fact, I have it right here. You're going to explain how the theory affected your design of the course, talk about how it impacted your teaching of the course and the learner experience. So how are you going to teach that course? How did the theory help you with being able to create a course that was efficient, robust, clearly laid out, organized, that helps you teach the course, and also the social presence, how you kind of are able to use social presence and teaching presence to teach that course. Okay, how did that theory help you with that? How did the theories help you with aligning the learning outcomes of your course with the activities? That's kind of a backward design question, isn't it? And then how did it help you with the evaluation phase of the course? This is kind of the ADDIE model activity, right? So then what you're going to do is find 5 theories. You don't have to do them all. And you're going to develop a script, 3 to I think it's 5 to 10 minutes, but 3 to 8 minutes is plenty for me if you like. And you're going to develop a script in week 5. Submit that script to me. Let me take a look at it. And then in week 6, you're going to actually video yourself presenting the 5 theories that you've selected. You can use Screencast-O-Matic, which is a tool similar to what I'm using here, which records your voice and your screen and your video. Let's see, and then it records it to the cloud, so that all you have to do is give me a link rather than kind of trying to store it on your own computer, okay? All right. Here's the theories again. We just went over them. I just want to clarify one thing. That's the community of inquiry model, okay? So there's basically, to me, the community of inquiry framework actually has 3 theories. The theory of teaching presence, the theory of social presence, and the theory of cognitive presence, okay? So pick, if you want to, each of these stand alone. So just pick one of these to be, or no, I don't want to say that. I want to say any one of these could count towards your 5 theories. They could count towards your 3 of your 5 theories or 2 of your 5 theories. If you really loved social presence and you also want to talk about cognitive presence because it really helped you a lot in the design of your course, then do that, okay? But these stand alone as 3 separate theories. And then you've also got the ADDIE model and all these other ones, okay? So 5 of these theories you're going to use, not 5 theories. And then you're going to develop your script in week 5. And then I'll give you feedback on it, and then you're going to submit it. And again, you're going to address these things about that theory. And I really want to hear, what's missing here? I want you to describe the theory and provide examples of how it's used in the field, okay? Right? I want to know that you really understand that theory, okay? So tell me what the theory is first. How are people using it in the world? Then talk about your course and that theory as you use it in your course, okay? So hopefully that's helpful. You know where to find me if you have any questions. And I look forward to, really look forward to reading your script in week 5 and seeing your final product in week 6. Thanks, everybody.